right, back to it now. Glad you're here on a Monday as we kick off a brand new week here on the Steve Gruber Show. No surprise, Kamala Harris polling better than Joe Biden did. Her bump, though, a lot more. See, they're saying that, well, Kamala's come up by 6 or 8 points. No, she's come up ahead of where Joe Biden was. But compared to where she was, she's come up a point and a half, so she's had a bit of a bounce here during this honeymoon phase. But my next guest says, look, she's not really particularly qualified in a lot of areas. I agree with that. Pete Hoekstra, former ambassador to the Netherlands. Spent 18 years in the administration, was the House Intelligence Committee chair. He joins me. Pete, good to see you.
Always good to be with you. Thank you, Steve.
All right, so Kamala Harris, I mean, honestly, she doesn't really have much of a record. Anything she touches, not too good. The southern border comes to mind. Of course, they're trying to deny she was ever the borders czar, but no matter what you call it, she was in charge of the border. It was a failure. And what else do we have to go by?
Well, I mean, really what you take a look at is you take a look at what she has said in the past. I mean, she ran for president, so she's on the record in terms of some of these foreign policy initiatives. And then you take a look at what she's done. As you said, number one, they're trying to whitewash, her role with the southern border. I'm not sure what they're trying to accomplish here. Are they trying to say, well, hey, she's really for tight borders, secure borders? No. As a matter of fact, I think in 2020, she was talking about the need to decriminalize the fact or the act of coming into the country illegally. So she's on the border. It looks like she's Joe Biden on steroids. If she got elected, another 4 more years of open borders, and even more open than what we've seen under Joe Biden. Internationally, we saw her on the stage last week. Man, she must have had a great sorority, because rather than going to the speech to listen and show support for Israel, she boycotted the speech from Netanyahu last week, decided not to show up there as Israel is facing, tougher and tougher times, the bombing or the rocket attack against one of their soccer fields, killing 12 kids. How awful is that? And where is our vice president? She's somewhere in Indiana, and joining half of the Democrats who decided to boycott the speech from Netanyahu.
No question about it. In fact, I'd like to have the folks pull up Byte 13, if you will. I want you to hear this, because Benjamin Netanyahu, he did end up meeting with Kamala Harris, but it was not during the speech. She did basically snub that off for a sorority get-together. But Benjamin Netanyahu went to Mar-a-Lago, as you know, and Donald Trump was there. He pointed out how dangerous the world is right now. Did Donald Trump? I want you to hear it, Pete. Here it is.
If we win, it'll be very simple. It's all going to work out, and very quickly. If we don't, you're going to end up with major wars in the Middle East and maybe a third world war. You are closer to a third world war right now than at any time since the Second World War. You've never been so close, because we have incompetent people running our country. Thank you very much, everybody.
Cool. Thank you.
So there you have it, Pete. He says we're closer to a third world war than we've been at any time since the end of the Second World War. What do you think?
Oh, I know. It's clear. It's a very, very dangerous world. You have, again, we went through it. Number one, you've got what's happening in our own southern border. How will the U.S. respond if, I think over the weekend they caught three suspected Palestinian terrorists?
Correct.
What if they launched an attack? What if they had been the ones that had been in the field in Pennsylvania last week, or a couple of weeks ago when the Secret Service failed so miserably? How would the U.S. respond? How will the U.S. respond as Israel has to decide how they're going to keep their civilians safe and secure from Hezbollah, the Houthis, Hamas, all backed by Iran? What happens if that explodes and it becomes a larger engagement, including Iran? What happens in Ukraine? These are all things that have been around for almost the entirety of the Biden administration, and we're not any closer to resolution on any of them. If anything has happened, the situation has actually gotten worse.
Well, we're in a very weak position. That's clear, Pete. And so I want to go to this very credible reporting that Barack Obama called Joe Biden on the 20th of July. And the date is not as important as the fact of the call. that he called to say, here's the deal. We have Kamala's approval to invoke the 25th Amendment. Basically, he told Joe Biden, you need to get out of the race now. And if you don't, we're going to come in and take the White House away from you, which has never been done. It would be a terrible stain on his legacy. So he bowed out. But then Joe Biden, on his way out, endorsed Kamala Harris, who Barack Obama didn't want. He wanted Mark Kelly, military man, astronaut, to be the top of the ticket. So Joe Biden basically turned around and gave him the shiv on the way out. But what about this? Because what I'm saying is, if you're not capable of doing the job and you must get out of the race, if the 25th Amendment was good enough a week ago, then clearly it's good enough today. We have a problem here. If Barack Obama is running the 25th, he knows Joe Biden can't run the country, meaning China could take Taiwan or Tehran could attack Israel or whatever it is. This needs to be solved.
It does need to be resolved. The only thing is, I'm not sure that our adversaries would see any greater, strength in the United States if we replaced a functioning Kamala Harris if she replaced a dysfunctional and incapable Joe Biden. Kamala wouldn't know where to start on any one of these policies. And, the bottom line is, yes, the next 4 or 5 months are going to be extremely dangerous on the international scene, because the more and more that it appears that Donald Trump will become the president, they recognize that a window of opportunity may be closing for them, a window that they may not see again for another 4, 8, 12 years, or hopefully a window that they will never see open for them again.
But here's the problem. We cannot underestimate the ability of the Democrats to put out $100, $200, $300 million in flashy advertisements, basically selling Kamala Harris as the greatest thing since America was founded. I mean, they basically turned Joe Biden into George Washington for resigning the pursuit of the White House. He's become the greatest American president in history as a result of quitting the race. I mean, so the propaganda knows no end. We cannot underestimate what's going on here, can we?
Absolutely not. We're starting to see it exactly as you said. Kamala Harris is, wow, she will save America. They're
from her policies.
They're engaging in personality politics again, going after J.D. Vance and those types of things. They refuse to talk about their policies. Chuck Schumer over the weekend attacks J.D. Vance. He doesn't mention Biden. He doesn't mention open borders. He doesn't mention inflation. They go right through down the list, and every single one of their policies they ignore. They refuse to talk about them. It's good. It's going to be a horse race, and there is so much at stake down this path over the next 4 months.
It might come right down to this great state of Michigan that we live in, Pete. In fact, a lot of people think so. I think it's entirely possible. It comes all down to Michigan, Pete. Pete Hoekstra, always appreciate you being here, my friend.
Great. Have a good day, and we will win Michigan.
All right, you heard it here, folks. Pete's going to win Michigan. Republicans are going to win. Trump's going to win.